go ahead and start this meeting. It is now 7:08 p.m. The City Council for the City of Brookshire will hold a special session for a budget workshop on July 22nd, 2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the City Council chambers for the purpose of considering. Before we get any further, I would like to do the prayer and the pledge.
Our gracious Father, which art in heaven, we are humbled to bow before thee this night and to give our thanks for the blessings that thou hast given to us. We are grateful for all that thou hast done to watch over our city in these times. We're grateful for the safety that we've been able to experience, and we are grateful, Father, for the generosity of our fellow neighbors. We pray, Father, this night that your guidance and wisdom might prevail, that we might be able to put together this budget in a way that serves all of the people of our community. We ask, Father, that you would watch over our families and keep them safe and all that they need. And this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank y'all. Now, Miss Erica, will you do the roll call, please, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Alderman Green.
Present.
Alderman Taylor.
Here.
Alderman McAnally.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards.
Present.
Mayor Branch.
Here.
Alderman McDade.
Present.
You have a quorum.
We'll move to agenda item number 5, public comments, in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act and Texas Government Code 551-007. City Council may not discuss or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Each member of the public wishing to speak must sign in prior to the meeting and is limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Ernest, I can't pronounce the last name, sir. Hickam? All right, thank you, sir. Come on.
I have a deep voice. I don't want to yell in here, so I'm going to refuse to use this. I don't want to yell at you guys. I want to be talking to you guys about a tree that is city's tree. So right here is, when I bought my house, is a survey prints from, that was filed.
Your address?
My address is 3929 2nd Street, Brookshire, Texas, 77423. So when I purchased my house in 2020, March 6th, that's a Friday of that year, these are the survey prints that the builder designed and made and everything else, and it's been filed with the state of Texas because there's a seal on it with the state of Texas stamp on it. Okay, so this right here, this little N referring to north. So this part of the house right here faces the church. Okay, so this side over here is Tony's property, and this side over here is an open lot, field, grass. So the 4 corners is demonstrated right there. The problem is on the back corner right here, this little bubble right here is an 18-inch cedar tree. It's 80 years old. Our lovely friend called Hurricane Beryl decided to come to town and blow it up. Blew it over. I got pictures and everything else. Well, when you look at this diagram right here, the center of that tree was the corner of the property line of all 3 of our properties. My property, the city's property, and also Mr. Henderson's, Tony's property. I own, according to the state document, 25% of the tree. Tony owns 25% of the tree, and the city owns 50% of the tree. Because back here, back here, I can't read upside down, backwards. It says a 20-foot alley. 20-foot alley is an easement the city owns. So therefore, the city owns 50% of the tree, because that's the other remaining half. The problem is, when I bought my house 4 years ago, there were some old decrepit branches on the tree. And I asked Mr. Branch, right there, the mayor, and I said, sir, with this blueprints right here, if the tree falls down, who's responsible for cleanup, ownership, and responsibility of this tree? Our lovely mayor said, wherever the tree falls, that person is responsible for 100% cleanup. I said, okay, that's logical. Those are terms that I agree to. Tony, my neighbor, we also agreed to those terms. So that brings me here today. The tree fell down. The tree fell on the city side. I got pictures on this lovely phone. If you guys want to see them, we can get after this meeting, and I'll show them. But Mr. Clint, right here, part of Public Works, his crew went back there and removed the tree that was blocking the road. The tree actually fell over and was touching the telephone pole.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. I want the city to remove the tree stump, fill in the hole, and since their tree damaged my fence, I want my fence repaired. That's only logical. I want it repaired the way it was before the tree fell. That's all I'm asking.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And just so council knows, I got his complaint today. Went out and took some pictures. I sent it to Clint. We are gonna file an insurance claim on it, and we'll send Clint over there in the morning. The guys will go look at it and get it fixed up. We'll get it all right.
Thank you, ma'am.
You bet.
Okay, next agenda item is new business. Letter A, facial year 2024 through 2025 budget workshop.
Okay, this is, again, we're kind of posed with a little bit of problem in that we don't have the certified roles. The county has not gotten those to us yet, so we do not know what our certified roles are gonna look like, which hinges on what our tax rate can be, which hinges kind of on everything else. However, what I have done is I have printed out the previous year's budget that we can kind of go through, and we can talk about some different things about where certain projects come from, what projects we are looking to fund this year, kind of what that looks like. I can give you some of the projected numbers. We have our preliminary appraisals, and I have some kind of preliminary tax rates with revenue numbers attached to those, but again, those are just kind of talking points only. I don't want you to, we're not married to that yet. This is the very beginning of this process. We've done things differently this year with budget because I don't know that there really was a process in the past for how the budget worked, but we wanted to put a process into place to where each department head had the opportunity to work with their staff to know what their projects were, and then we actually have a department heads meeting every Wednesday, and so we sit down and we've been discussing a lot of these things since April. And we try to tie all of our budget projects into kind of what we call like vision elements, like how it hits certain things strategically within the city, maintaining a well-managed city, maintaining infrastructure, upholding exceptional service and public safety and advocacy, different things like that. So, you have been given your packet. In the back of your packet, you'll see these budget request forms. These are new. What this is a form to where if you have a specific project, or something, you'd like for us to look at something, price something out, this is where you would fill this form out. This top line is where you would put, all of these will be digital, and then they will all be compiled into a budget book. So, let's see, I know Tony and Monique, we've already talked about this, but Eric, when you were on council in the past, did y'all ever have like an actual approved budget book? An approved budget book. So the state requires you that there are specifications that you have to have, like a budget book that has like the glossary, all that kind of stuff in it.
You know where it's at now?
No, I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're talking about.
That a budget book.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we had that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause we haven't found it. So we are required by the state, like, and they even specify, like, it has to be like a certain font and size, and so we're doing everything by that. There's a certain format, like, there has to be a transmittal letter, we have to put the truth and taxation form in there, and what we can do is we will also attach these budget request forms. And what this does is, let's say that chief has a project that's not a priority this year, but it's a priority, and we want to kind of start thinking about it for a capital improvement project or an equipment replacement project. We can fill out the form, it's documented, and then what we'll do is we will go through and we will prioritize all of these into basically kind of a pro forma matrix. And what that does is, as we accomplish those projects, we basically take it off of that priority list, and then the next priorities bump up. Every year you should be reevaluating that priority list, so that you make sure that things that are of your immediate and urgent priorities are taken care of, and then other things that might kind of float there this year might become a priority next year, so that you make sure that there's some sort of priority scale that things get taken care of. So if y'all have any recommendations, we can kind of just start taking this sheet by sheet, and y'all can ask questions, I can give explanations. Did you have a question?
So basically, this is your 5-year plan.
No, this budget is, this is only for next year, fiscal budget.
Okay, because
On
it's
the request form, we go out,
5 years.
we go out 5 years, yeah.
Do you have access to the original 5-year plan, or you don't have it? You don't have it. Okay. Okay.
And that's kind of why we've started to do this, is to kind of start building into what that 5-year plan would look like, and start establishing every single year, essentially kind of our internal, we have our reserves, but then kind of an internal savings fund for what we call capital improvement, like large capital improvement, and then equipment replacement. So if we want to start, well, let me back up. When we came in, we were currently using the Encode system, and we got into the Encode system, and when I got here in August, the Encode system, the system and the bank portion had not been reconciled in 2.5 years. It hadn't been reconciled since the last audit we had from 2020 to 2021. So that posed a lot of problems in terms of what we were actually looking at. So my first council meeting for the budget was the first week that I started in August. The budget really hadn't been looked at. We made some minor adjustments, like some glaring obvious things in terms of adjustments, but a reconciliation hadn't been done in 2.5 years. Where that becomes a problem is the fact that tax numbers hadn't been changed in 2 or 3 years, I can't remember, in 2 or 3 years. So we were still sitting at the same tax revenue that we had 3 years prior. Well, by the gravity of tax rates, your appraised value increases, that allows you the comfort to reduce your tax rate but still be able to generate enough revenue to run your city. So I brought to the council a couple of meetings ago, that really kind of got my gears turning, so I sat down and I spent about a week going through 11 years worth of tax rates, and realized that we had the same tax rate, 64 cents, 64000 for 11 years. That is almost impossible. And kind of what that had amounted to was, we have been overtaxing our residents for at least 11 years. We know positively for 5 that, according to Senate Bill 2, that was an illegal tax rate, because Senate Bill 2 says that you can't increase taxes more than 3.5% over the previous year's tax rate. So last year we were able to lower the tax rate from 64 cents to 59, and then I anticipate us being able to lower it again this year and still be able to generate enough money to fund the things that we need to fund in our budget. So I am gonna ask that you give us a little bit of grace, because we are still figuring a lot of things out. You know, we have found employee salaries that were being paid out of fund accounts that we don't even operate anymore. And, you know, we had life insurance being, health insurance being taken out of life insurance. And this is stuff that has been there for years, but nobody ever caught it. So I have all these books here because literally what I've done is gone through the entire budget and printed out every transaction under every line item, and have gone by line and confirmed that it belongs in that line item. And if it doesn't, it is highlighted, and then we have to go back, send it to the accountant, they make a journal entry in the general ledger to correct everything. So this is probably gonna be the most accurate budget that we've had in a long time.
So I have another question now. What accounting firm were we using?
Peacock Accounting.
Did they have any data from before?
Yes, they're able to look at the encode data.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I will say that when they did the conversion, they did tell us that it was the worst conversion in almost 40 years that they've ever done. It's not a good thing, but just to kind of give you a picture of kind of how we've been trying to piece this back together. And I have periodically brought it to council when we have found some big glaring things that were incorrect and tried to correct those. And, you know, it's a moving, a budget is a living document. It's constantly moving, we're constantly changing. I think the biggest struggle is that we didn't know what was there because it was so off. So we're now kind of getting it back in line, things are being budgeted appropriately, we can actually start to see like an actual snapshot. And then we're able to start, you know, piecing things together and funding projects that really we could have been able to fund before now. We just didn't have accurate data that told us we could. So, any questions before we?
So everything you just said, is that why, I was looking through this earlier today, there are so many line items that have no history, no current budget, no previous budget, and apparently we don't intend to budget anything for it in the future.
Yeah, so just because, like, I have printed it out, so that is one thing about FundView is that you can't manipulate it. Once the data is input, we can go in and we can make journal entries and change it, but on the transaction report, it shows that the journal entry was made, the journal ledger was amended, but everything is documented. So that's one reason that I like this, is that we can't print it out and it's not accurate. It's accurate. But on one of the settings that I do have is that I can print it out to show line items that are zero balance. So some of these line items, instead of putting things in the right category, we just went in and we just created a line item. Like, we might have had, you know, pins for Juneteenth 2024. Well, obviously that was going to special events, but we went in and we created just this astronomical list of like line items, which is not healthy. So there have been, you will see on here, anything with a line item that ends in a 1, a 2, or a 3 will no longer be active. All account line items end in a 0. So anything, you will see that there, like, here's one that I'm looking at. Property purchased from Goki, G-O-K-I. I don't know what that is, but that is an account number ending in 1. That account number is going away. It's always gonna be there, but the accountant is able to go in and make it inactive, so when your budget prints out, you won't see it.
So, audit over the past years, whether the state required audits, city audits, were all of that, any of that done, and did we get any reports from the audit companies? And
The last audit that we have is the one that this council approved, which was the 2020 to 2021. So we are working with Baker Tilly to true up the audits up until current.
What happened with the previous auditors?
They dropped us. They
Why?
told us it was a reputational risk for their firm.
It was a Okay. When did that happen?
About 6 months ago.
The reason why I'm asking is because when I was on there, we had no issues with that firm.
I don't know.
I think it had something to do with the fact that the council didn't approve the last
The last
trial
one.
balance, and there were some problems with that, and I think it just kind of snowballed from there. And Mr. Well,
They
he
also
sent a
got-
letter.
They also got bought out.
Oh.
They got bought out by a large firm, but see, that was one reason why I had to bring it to this council, was because the previous council did not approve that 20 to 21 budget. Tony and Monique were here, but I can't remember when that was before me why, but there were some issues as to why it was, questions as to why it wasn't approved. That's why I brought it to y'all to approve, because Baker Tilly can't start on the audit until they have an approved trial balance. So by approving that last audit, you're approving the trial balance, which would be the starting point for the 21 to 22 audit. Any more questions?
No, I was just looking through here, and a lot of the items that I had marked for questions all end in something other than 0. So,
And I mean, really, I mean, there is a function to where when I print the report, I make a selection, include 0 balance, and you just mark yes or no. I marked yes just so that you could see the entirety of what was there. I mean, some of them are kind of, you can see where they were just created. I don't know why.
So we're gonna discuss the items on this report, or anything that might stick out, like the garbage. I'm looking at right here that the year-to-date expenses, like, we're almost about to run out of money for garbage collection. Is it,
So you have to remember that when this budget was made in August, we weren't doing garbage, and the rates have fluctuated since then. So we've had some things that we've had to incur, like some software and stuff when we did take over garbage. So keep in mind, these are this year's numbers and this year's budget, and then what we do is we put what our costs are. We have everything in a spreadsheet. We've done a form like this for garbage, and so we know what a year's worth of service looks like, so that when we go to fill that in at this time, we have a year's worth of data that we know how to accurately put that
I
rate
understand.
in.
And what inflation rate are you using?
Do what?
What inflation rate are we using?
So it kind of ranges. The mayor and I talked about it the other day. It depends on where you go and look at it. We've gotten anything from 4.6 to 5.7. So we kind of just landed on 5.
Okay, because typically it's 3% pre-COVID. Okay, and after COVID, it almost tripled. So we're at about 5% right now. It might be a little low. Yeah.
And we kind of, we looked at a lot of different resources, and like I said, it kind of depends on where you look. You get a different number, so we kind of took just what we felt. We didn't want to be too high, we didn't want to be too low, so we just kind of took a collective 5% and just kind of sat there. I mean, obviously that can be adjusted. The software does have a great feature that we can add that percentage in there, and it automatically goes through and calculates that percentage increase in it, and then we can work from that number. And when we're going through this budget process, and we do talk to a lot of our contracts and vendors, that is one question that we do ask is, what is the contracted rate for next year gonna be? Is there gonna be a price change, so that we can, that's why we use these forms, so that we can fill them out. Public Works has done a great job of looking at a lot of the contracts and contractors that we use in getting pricing, and then the equipment that we're looking at purchasing, going ahead and getting costs on those, so that we know exactly what those costs are and we build those in.
All right, and can you let us know basically how's your budget broken down? I know you have wages, and then you have services. Can you give us those categories?
Sure, let's go ahead, we can start that on page. We can start that on page 6. So you'll see on page 6, that's where we start it's on the expense side, we start our departments. Mayor, Eric, you might be able to help me. I don't know what Department 100 is. It had no name in the code. no name transferred over. Do what? Well, 200 is what, 400 was general. I don't know, it only has a few line items in it, we've left it there. It had a position called an administrative coordinator with travel and training. There is a line item for code enforcement, so I don't know if at one point Department 100 was specifically for code enforcement.
Probably was,
But it hasn't been used in some time, so we're leaving it alone. We're not touching it. There are some prior year balances that were by nature of just a miscoding, and those are being corrected, so everything will be zeroed out on that. You'll see, Department 200 is city officials, so that's everything for each of you. That is your monthly salary, all of your taxes. So one of the things that the previous system did was it broke out every single one of your taxes into a different line item. So it had FICA, Medicare, all separately. That's not really how they do it in fund accounting, so the accountant recommended, as well as FundView, that all of those taxes, your withholdings, basically come out of one line item called payroll taxes, so it makes sense. Now, you can go in and click in the system on that particular payroll taxes, that's 511, or 51,100, and you can pull it up, and it'll be categorized Medicare, Social Security. It's all that way, but it's a lot cleaner once it's all folded into one line item. So that's where we budget for your travel, your training, anything that you guys do to operate city business.
So what is the fuel and auto maintenance?
So when Lakeitra does your checks, like for when y'all went on your training in your per diem,
Mm-hmm.
and she calculates your gas mileage for wherever you travel, that's where it comes out of.
And auto maintenance?
No, the mayor has a vehicle that stays at PD that
Okay.
we have to, keep maintenance on. And as you can see, we really haven't done, $62
So
this
if we
year.
wanted to up our thing, we had to do a
part of that was registration.
salary for us. Because it's the new
Does anybody
calendar
have
year
questions on
2024
200?
If we wanted to work,
to up the salary for us.
no, it won't work that way. You can do it, but then it has
So there
to.
is some more
They'll
on
say that it's not winning
the
the
other, on the back.
If we try to
Again,
do
we
it like in
haven't
regular,
used anything from council.
that's what they be saying, that it's not
Did y'all
scheduled.
have a question?
Yeah, I want to ask about the salary for, officials.
Yes.
Don't you have to discuss it in the budget now? Or
To
how
change
does that
the
work?
salary?
Yeah.
Yes, now would be the time to do it, but keep in mind, if you vote to like we did previously, if you vote to increase council's salary, it doesn't go in effect
Until next year, yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's why I'm saying,
Yes,
that's why I
but
was
now
asking
you're
the
right.
question.
Now
I
is
was
the time that you would discuss it so that we would know how to adjust that number. So
Okay.
currently for council, it's $100 a month. There was a previous discussion, I can't even remember, what was the amount?
I think you said, what you said, 5?
500 a month, yeah.
The
You did
increased
5, and I
council salary.
said that was probably too steep. I would say about 3, maybe 3. But I mean,
But it was
we
shut
could
down, it
discuss
was shut
yeah.
down, the discussion kind of shut down everything, so we didn't really have much of a
Because we
conversation.
had
but-
to do it during budget. That's why I brought it up. We couldn't do it during a regular
And
council
keep in
meeting.
mind, you can always amend a budget. It's is it an ordinance or a resolution?
Just a budget amendment.
It's just a budget amendment. I mean, we do it pretty often. It's not that big of a deal, but if that's a conversation that y'all wanted to have so that we could change those numbers, now would be the time so that we know. Cause what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a lot of this feedback, so just so y'all know, Public Works, Ernest and Clint, if y'all don't know, right there. And then we have Stacy with finance and chief legal. And then Eric and I. So any recommendations that y'all have, we're gonna take back and start plugging in, more firm numbers. this first budget workshop is just to, especially since we have, you know, 2 new members, just get you familiar and comfortable with what's going on with the budget, what it looks like, kind of what some of our priorities are gonna be. So if that's something that y'all wanna talk about, Monique, now is the time to,
That's why I brought it up.
yeah.
So. Y'all wanna have a discussion or wait?
The discussion from before was essentially that as city council members, we do spend a lot of our own resources and time and getting out to, you know, I know, for example, that Eileen was out at, I think, both the Juneteenth and the July 4th, you know, with her own phone, her own camera. She drove herself out there, I'm sure, arranging all of that, spent a lot of her own resources to do that. And you know, we're not asking for full reimbursements for that, but we just, that $100 was set probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, and inflation has definitely gone up, and what would cost you $100 to do 10 years ago is definitely more than that. And so that's why we'd had the discussion to say perhaps it would be reasonable to compensate that.
Can y'all do some benchmarking on that, please? That's just my opinion.
Do you have, can you make a recommendation of what you would want that to be?
Well,
I said 3.
I
gave
can
just the
support,
recommendation, but I don't
300.
know.
I know that if you start looking around in the area, you're gonna find a lot of cities around here that do
Right,
nothing
that's-
whatsoever.
And theirs is really high, 1,000.
But then you look at-
Yeah.
You look at Houston and some of the other ones, and it's very, very high. So you're gonna find across the board, at least in the research that I did for it, which is,
What
I was,
you think?
when I was first elected, we was getting paid $800, and then we cut it to 300, and then we reduced it to 100. Now, this is just my personal opinion. When it was $800, you had a lot of people running for this position for the wrong reason.
Right.
And when we dropped it down to $100, you only got the people who really wanted to run to make a difference in the community. Just take that under consideration.
Right.
I understand. You spend a lot of money and time, resources. Believe me, I understand. I did it for a long time, but that's just something to think about.
Are you recommending mayor's position as well?
Yeah, it was the whole, I guess it was the whole,
Everything, okay.
Official salary, everybody.
Now, when we were getting paid $800, the mayor's salary was $30,000.
Who? Yeah, what?
Yeah.
So
We were getting paid $800, and the mayor salary was $30,000. It was plus travel and training. It equaled up to about
So are
$40,000.
you wanting to go back to that?
No,
what is the mayor currently a month? It's 1,000 a month, right? Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed if we're gonna up council by 200 to up that also by 200 and make the mayor 1,200. Be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's for full taxes.
Did you agree that you all do some benchmarking?
Yes, we'll contact other cities. We can contact HGAC and they can give us a report.
Right. Because I'm in the opinion of Eric. I mean, if you offer a lot of money, a lot of people going to run for the wrong reason. So maybe. Yeah. I'm sorry, Councilman Green.
And then I will say as far as the travel and training, it's been 12,000 for the past couple of years, and I don't think we've exceeded that. So I feel pretty comfortable keeping it there unless somebody has some really lofty goals of going to a ton of training.
Mr. Green, remember like somebody went out of state for some training?
Keep on leaving. Just keep on leaving.
That was the only year we had to
One
amend
thing
that.
that we have added in here, is, and this came kind of, a lot of other cities do it, is you'll see that there's a line item called community outreach. So a lot of times there are different community type galas or events, like the school district might have an event, and I think it's being a good steward of the city, for council or staff to attend events like that, to show a presence and support from the city. So we do budget that, in the budget for, council members and the mayor to go and attend those things. So we put 4,000 in there. It's a little bit different than travel and training because it's typically, community type events. I know the school district, I think their education foundation has an event or, different types of things. So we really want you to be involved in the community and to show your face, as a member of council. So
That's including like churches and stuff.
it's up to the council. We're there for, it's there for community. Community outreach is specifically there to outreach and, network in the community. Now, wanna make sure it's a viable resource, we're not just going to Eileen's birthday party. But, right.
She doesn't charge admission for that.
But a lot of times what is, somebody will bring a flyer to Erica and say, hey, the school district is an easy target, that's why I keep saying that, the school district is doing this event, the band is having a banquet, and,
Like Waller County Crime Stoppers. is
yeah,
having
Waller
it.
County Crime Stoppers is having an event, and Erica sent that out saying if anybody would be interested. That's what that is for, is to go and be a representative from the city of those types of events.
I have a question. Does that have to be in Brookshire?
No, there's a lot of events that I think, like Katie has some stuff, like we try to stay involved in the Katy Chamber of Commerce, HJC has stuff in the area, so no,
Okay.
not necessarily.
Okay, because I actually went to Hempstead yesterday to a community outreach.
Okay.
And he was actually asking about coming here. He was actually, the people who did the facials, Becoming Better, yeah. So that's actually Becoming Better, yeah. It's like a community outreach group that they have. And he was wanting to have something like out there and use the pavilion.
Oh, just let us know.
Okay.
That's not that,
Okay.
that's different,
Okay.
just let us know. And
Okay.
we'll we'll coordinate. But that's such an important role as a council member, is to not just show up once a month for a council meeting.
Yep.
Show your face.
Right.
Be out there.
Involved.
Mhm.
We want you to be active, and we know that each of you has a different reach. in a
Somebody have their
different
hand up.
community. Yes.
I got a question, and it's to this topic right here, the community outreach thing. You said it's $4,000. If the city does not use the $4,000 in this year, can it roll over to the next year, so now there's $8,000? And could the city put a fireworks display on for 4th of July for us? Is that-
We did that.
We had a fireworks show for the 4th of July. At the park. You didn't come?
I was not aware of it, but I was
Yeah.
wondering, could events like that,
So we'll get to that in just a little bit. We do have the special events under administration where we do stuff like that. And in terms of, if we budget 4,000 and we don't use 4,000, basically whatever is not used just kind of runs into like
Rolls
our
over.
reserve, and it sits there. Unless we have a designated project and we're like, okay, Eileen is going to Hempstead. She's
Send me
gonna
Hempstead.
take that 4,000 and she's gonna use it the first week of October. And just for your understanding, we try to stop all spending by the end of August to allow bills and anything outstanding to come in September, so that everything is paid,
Sales.
clean, brand new slate to start.
For the new
October
year.
1st.
Gotcha.
Now, we know that there's gonna be some stuff that we can't, that's not possible.
Mhm.
But in terms of large purchases, contracts, we will either wait and start them October 1st or try to end them and clean it up.
There used to be a program called the Yak Program.
Yes, we were talking about that.
That was a pretty good program for the youth in the community, and actually came up and sat down in Yeah, they.
So I will tell, I'm a huge proponent of that, and I know that I had mentioned something to Mr. Green the other day. One thing we added in is Keep Brookshire Beautiful, which is under the umbrella of Keep Texas Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful. There is a ton of grant money through Keep Texas Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful, and one caveat, arm of those organizations is youth advisory. I am in full support of bringing a program like that back, because the only way that we can create good stewards and people to want to sit up here in these chairs is to start from a young age. I mean, right now, I don't know if y'all follow government or what. There's a huge problem in government right now. Cities across the nation are losing department heads, they're losing city managers. It's not a friendly job, it's not a friendly career to be in, just because of just the cultural nature of our country right now. Social media has ruined being in government. So anything that we can do to get a hold of the youth in our community and get them active through volunteer, teaching them about government, teaching them about volunteering their time, I think that is money very well spent, invested in our community. Working with the school district, having a better relationship there, working with their churches and their youth group. So yes, Eric, I agree. We do have a department for Keep Brookshire Beautiful, where I would love to be able to bring a Yak board back and do something with them.
Okay. Well, that's one program that I would like to see back.
And you want to be the liaison for it?
Yeah, we
Sure.
gonna throw them in there. I'll help y'all.
Yeah.
I'll help y'all, brother.
And the reason that I'm recommending folding it under Keep Brookshire Beautiful is because there's so much grant money available when you establish a program like that, where you can get federal and state funds because you have an actual youth advisory commission.
Okay.
Get it rolling, Eric. I got your back.
Me too, that's what I said. I'm with you, brother.
Okay, so then we will move down to 400. 400 is our general government, so that's administration. That's pretty much everything here at City Hall. You will see administration salary. We are working on a full salary report right now with estimated COLAs and then merit increases in there. So one thing that we've done differently is that we have started incorporating performance evaluations. So we did this before the new council came, but I can send y'all a copy. I think I did put a copy in your white binder that I gave you. We've created an evaluation form across the board. Everybody has already filled it out. We sent it to the employee, and we allowed them to set their goals and kind of write like a little bio of, you know, what they think they do well in their positions, and then we actually set performance metrics. Chief has done it with police officers. We're working on finishing up public works right now. We've finished up admin. And what that allows is the immediate supervisor to work one-on-one with those employees of, you know, are you meeting the metrics of the requirements of your position? Allows them to also set goals, and then for the direct supervisor to set performance goals for the next year. Ideally, what we'd like to do is then have a merit increase that's associated with that performance evaluation, so that we make sure that we are rewarding good staff, but we're also giving them a reason to be good staff. I think that was one of the most frustrating things that I dealt with when I came in last year, was just looking across the board how under market value our positions were. When you could go down to Buc-ee's and work at the car wash, and that paid more than 60% of the jobs that we have here at the city. I mean, working at the car wash at Buc-ee's paid more than what our police officers were making. So we have access to some great materials through HGAC, through Texas City Managers Association, of kind of what the metrics are for different positions in our area, so that we can compare and we can make sure that we're in a very marketable position. But then also tying, you know, a merit increase with their performance evaluation further helps us retain good employees. here at the city.
Of course, we will review and the COLA recommendations and merit recommendations during the budget process, right?
And
Okay.
that's where we can talk about that right now. Just tentatively, one of the things that the mayor and I had discussed again was the COLA sitting at that 5%. That was taking like national averages, talking to other cities, what other cities were offering, kind of, and again, it's kind of skewed. But that was kind of the number that we were looking at. And then on the merit side, doing up to 5%, assuming to get 5%, you have to get exceeds expectations. I mean, you know, there's different metrics that you have to meet in the performance evaluation. I mean, there's some people that are gonna get 1%, then there's some other people that are probably gonna get 5%. It's a sliding scale, but it's tied to the directive of the performance evaluation.
Right, and you have that in place now, or is that what you're gonna put in place?
Yes, that's
For the
what we
performance
did.
appraisal process?
Yes, we have that
Okay.
in place now.
Okay.
But just tentatively, those were the numbers that we're looking at. I mean, council, you can direct us otherwise, but those were,
5%.
Max.
That's for the COLA.
Yeah, well, the COLA at 5%?
COLA at 5%. Performance appraisal ties to the,
correct.
I have a question about the life insurance line here. I know this year there was a huge bill discovered that hadn't been paid for
That's liability.
multiple, oh,
Yes,
liability,
That was
okay.
liability,
Yeah,
yes.
I thought it was life, okay.
No, that was liability insurance. So if we go to page 8, we did make a budget amendment on, if you look at payroll taxes, we did make a budget amendment on that early in the budget year, because that was one where we had found out that we were inaccurately budgeting for payroll taxes. Year before, we'd only budgeted $20,000. So the average number or percentage that we use to calculate payroll taxes is we take our salaries and it's 32%. And so that's how we kind of get that margin for what we use for payroll taxes. Retirement contributions, we have a 2-to-1 retirement plan at 7%. So the employee contributes 7%, the city matches it at 14%. Because of the way that the accruals work with retirement money, it actually comes out to where the city matches it like 13.63. It's a very weird number, but it's accurate. I didn't quite understand it at first, but it has to do with the bank of money that the city pools through Texas Municipal Retirement System and the way that the accrual system works. So what we do is we take those salary numbers and then we just calculate the 14%, and then we call TMRS to confirm it, and they back all our numbers up, and that's where we come in with return. Health insurance, I'll be honest, health insurance has been a real struggle with us. Health insurance, because we have been less than 50 employees, we basically fall into a small number batch. We have previously we're on a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan through TXHB, which TXHB is kind of like they're the provider of the plan, but they are not good at shopping the plan. Our employees every employee of the city of Brookshire gets 100% paid health insurance, dental, and vision. They want to add their children or dependents, that is the employee has to pay for that. The problem is that TXHB, the family, is so expensive. It is $1,500 a month to pay for your family.
That's because it's
So
less than 50.
we tried to negotiate that with TXHB since last November. We have made dozens of requests. They're just unwilling to shop it. Then they came back to us with 60 days left on our plan and said, oh, by the way, we're increasing your health insurance price by 3%. So we have we renewed with TXHB to get us through the end of our fiscal year. And we have gone with a new provider that manages only governments, Hub International, and they're actually shopping our plan, knowing that we are very sensitive to what the price for families is. When they ran a history, they did come back and say, well, we can see why they did it this way, because it has been a very long time since the city of Brookshire has hired younger employees that have younger families that are wanting to put them on insurance. So, you know, for, I don't know, many years, maybe that wasn't a big issue, but right now, I mean, Karen can speak to it. We're interviewing officers, young officers that have families, and they're losing interest because to put their family on our insurance is $1,500 a month. So their check afterwards, I mean, we had an employee the other day that his check for 2 weeks after taking the insurance out was less than $800.
Lord help us.
So we've gone back to the drawing board for that. Stacey's been spending an incredible amount of time working with our new broker, and he has assured us that he is, you know, they've put it out to bid, they're shopping it, and then they should have something for us. One of the things that was also very frustrating with TXHB is they don't run on the same fiscal year. It would start in January, so it was very hard to budget
That's
what that
different.
was gonna look like with a, 3 to 4 month difference. So
And you said T what?
TXHB, it used to be
It's-
called TML Health, and then they switched it to TXHB.
Texas Health Benefits.
Right, and Erica can attest to this because we've put out several emails to the Texas city managers and the Texas municipal courts. There are tons of cities that are leaving TXHB because last year their prices went up 8%. This year they went up 3%, and it's just getting too expensive. And they're not doing a good job of shopping it for their customers. Some of the
Last-
networks have, and we have a PPO plan, and even on the PPO plan, it's been knocking a lot of just normal providers off of the PPO plan.
Last year at the TML annual conference, they had the TXHB was there talking about how wonderful their plan is, and it was a very dangerous room to be in because there were so many cities that were in there just tearing them apart, and we're leaving and because of the poor service and the price increase, and they didn't provide a very good program. And I remember talking about that when we came back from the annual meeting, and you had said at that point in time that we were aware of that and would be
Yeah, so
looking for other
we've kind of been
options.
doing this shopping for quite some time. We do have a rider on our policy from Next Level Urgent Care, which is fantastic. So if I enroll Erica in health insurance, she takes 100% of the health insurance. She does not have to enroll her family, but the rider through Next Level allows her and her entire immediate family to go to Next Level Urgent Care for free of charge.
As long as they're listed as dependents.
Yes, as long as they're listed as dependents. And they will do vaccines, broken arms, x-rays, MRIs, well woman, everything. I mean, they pretty much do everything but like surgery. Like you can't, so that has been, for many years, we didn't use it. But like I said, kind of our employee profile is changing, and we're getting younger employees with families who that's an importance to them. And so we really have had to take that into consideration. Stacy has reached out and talked to Next Level, and we can extend that with whatever new plan we get. We can still have that rider on our plan, which
That'd
is
be excellent.
fantastic.
That was in place years ago.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been around for a while. Last year they changed the Next Level plan to include like a lot more stuff. We feel like they did that because their rates increased so much. And they're able to go back. There were several years where we would go the whole year and nobody would use it. And we're like, it's such a good plan. Like,
Yeah, it is.
that's a great incentive. So Stacy has talked to him, and we will be able to maintain that and keep that going forward.
We're also asking for,
We should make city council people
right now,
employees.
employer paid portion is 10,000. That's really kind of low. We're asking for bids to come in at 25,000, and we're asking for short-term and long-term disability options.
So we've never had that before. for, but, I mean, increasing life insurance for 10,000 right now, I mean, we're paying like 90 cents an employee. So we're talking about, it's very, very inexpensive, but it's a great, again, it's an incentive that I think is important for our employees to have. Okay, so going down, legal fees, that's, it is what it is, you know? Depending on kind of what we have going on that year, really, your rate, Olson and Olson's, their rates aren't changing. They did a rate change, I think a year ago, 2 years ago, and that was the first rate change they'd had in like a really long time. So, if
We
they
have
were
a
gonna change, if their rates were gonna change,
Do we have a contract with Olson and Olson?
I don't know the answer to that. It's one of those things where it just, like, continual service just kind of rolls over and over.
Attorney?
I don't know, I can check and look for you, but
Okay.
we serve at the pleasure and will of council, so
Oh.
72 hours.
So you don't have, you don't think we have one then?
Sorry,
I said, so you don't think we have one?
I don't know the answer.
Can someone check?
Also ask on my end.
Okay.
And I'm sure, as like some of the new ones know, there are not that many like municipal law firms out there that specialize in, so we're kind of limited. Audit and accounting, so that one will go up this year. That one will go up because we are back auditing. We are getting ourselves caught back up. Another caveat with auditing and accounting that's important to remember is that when we take state and federal grants, we are required to do what they call a single unit audit, which means we do our normal fiscal audit, and then they have to come in to meet the criteria of the audit and do an actual audit of the money that was spent on that state or federal project. We just went out to bid for a single unit audit, and it's kind of like doing a mini forensic audit just on that project. So we went out to bid, we got 3 bids, and we went with Baker Tilly. They were the lowest bid, but Baker Tilly is a very reputable company. And just that single unit audit was $40,000. So it's an expensive service.
Single unit audit, could you explain in detail, single unit audit on what?
So whenever we take grant money, state.
Oh, for
or-
grants.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We have to do a singles unit audit just on that particular project. And then they report it back into the state or federal reporting system.
works.
And then generally, those funds are accounted for, and, you know, we get a $3 million grant, and there's a line item in it that says that accounting is accounted
We
for,
can actually
and,
charge it through administration
Yeah.
fees, yes. Professional services, so let me explain this one a little bit. This one really stuck out to me when I read this one. So the reason that it shows that we are negative almost $500,000 is we have several outstanding grants right now. We have the CDBG grant where we went in, and after Harvey, homes that were flood damaged, we actually, it was a state grant where we partnered with the state at a 20% match, and we rebuilt those CDBG homes. We have 11? I think we have 11. So one of the main contractors there is J.W. Turner, who is actually the home builder. So again, part of that grant, our grant qualification was that we provided a 20% match of the cost to rebuild that home. We have we have some ARPA stuff that has come out of there. Anything that deals with a grant that's a professional service for the grant works, the home builders, the contractors, the Department of Agricultural grant out of here, goes through professional services. The reason it looks weird is because nobody budgeted for it last year, or the year before, or the year before that. So it's a double-edged sword. When we have grant money, we have to start on the revenue side. So I work with Lakeitra. She's already given me a list for next year of the grant money that we can expect to come in. We have 2 major grants, and then we'll be closing, depending on if we're able to close out Department of Agriculture. We've got so what we should be doing is taking that potential grant money, which is about, for next year, it's about $2 million. Plugging that in on the revenue side as grant money, but then also coming on the professional services side and putting the 2 million so they cancel each other out and it becomes a balanced budget. We have not been doing that. I also want to bring up the fact that several years ago, right after COVID, when we took ARPA money, the federal ARPA money, that was over about $1.5 million. When we took that ARPA money, we just deposited it into our general fund and we just started spending it, and we didn't set it aside in a grant fund. So now that we're fulfilling ARPA projects, we're essentially having to use money that was spent 4 years ago because we didn't put it in a grant fund. So whenever we get grant money, and it is they call it a tranche, whenever it is a tranche that comes through of, let's just say $1 million, that $1 million needs to go sit in a governmental money market account or an ICS high yield account, so that while we are not using that money, we are gaining money on our own money with interest. And let me tell you, governmental money markets and governmental CEDAR accounts are high yielding right now. We're in the 6 and 7%. But we got that ARPA money 4 years ago, and we just deposited it into our general fund, and we just were paying payroll out of it. We were paying for fuel, everything else. So like Chief, we just got Southern Software, which was a $400 purchase that was approved for, professional services, and so that money's already been spent, so we're essentially using our own general fund money right now. So I can assure you that process has already been corrected and changed.
I have a question. It's kind of off subject a little bit, but it's pertaining to Hurricane Beryl. I know a lot of people have been trying to apply for the FEMA, and for some reason Waller County is not listed on there.
I called them.
Waller-
As soon as I found out, I called them.
Yeah, I talked to Monique. So I don't have the answer,
Okay.
but we are staying abreast with that
Mm-hmm.
because Waller County and Fort Bend County are dealing with the same thing. So
Oh.
apparently, for the state to define it as like a declared area, you have to meet a threshold for a certain amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So while northern Waller County probably didn't get that much damage, there are parts of southern Waller County that did.
Mm.
But Waller can't get declared by the state until they meet that certain threshold. So that's why they have said it's very important that if you had damage, that form that we've been
Mhm.
fill that
I
form
shared
out.
it. Mhm.
Remind people, fill that form out, because that form, although it seems like minor, that form is what goes into the pool of kind of liquidated damages for
Mhm.
the entire county.
Mhm.
Now, that's not to say that we have heard from the judge that they are trying their hardest to get the state to declare it.
Mm-hmm.
But as of, I don't know, you can check your email, we haven't gotten anything today
Okay.
regarding it. But I would highly recommend you keep telling people whatever damage
Fill out
you
that
have,
form.
fill that form out.
Okay.
And a lot of people, like I said, again, look at it and they're like, oh, it's just a form, it's not gonna matter. No, it actually does
Mhm.
matter.
The gentleman I referred to, emergency management, was here Friday. For our community.
Oh, yes, they were doing assessments on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Driving through the community, yeah. Mhm.
Well, they should have did that. It's cleaned up now.
They should come by.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's where things work.
So on professional services, professional services is where we
Okay.
again, any type of professional service related to a grant, so you're gonna see
Okay.
that line item, while it might stick out and be glaring, it's going to level itself out on the revenue side. And again, those are kind of just educated guesses that we have to make on this. We do have our social media consultant goes in professional services, our shredding company goes in professional services. What am I forgetting? Professional services? just call me and let me know. I can, like I said, I can pull it up on a transaction report and be like, hey, what all goes into this category, I can pull that up and show you.
Who is the social media person?
Her name is, Abby Ferguson, so she does us and she does PD.
Okay.
So in professional services, we also have, City E-Code, which is our codification company. They're recodifying, and then they host our E-Code, all of our ordinances online. Civic Plus, which does our online records maintenance. If we have an event and we have to, at Christmas, we hired a photographer to come and take pictures. If we have a big event, we can hire, if y'all know of somebody, we can hire a photographer, you know, to collect stuff like that. Background checks, so when we have new hires and we do background checks with the company that we use, that comes out of professional services. Any questions on that?
I have a question on page 9, so when we get there.
Okay, almost there. Page 9.
So 452, 400, it ends in a 0. It sounds like an awesome event, Special Events Crawfish Festival. But
I did ask Margie, that was an event they used to do, but that's a prime example. Instead of doing it in special events.
We did that twice, only 2 times.
Okay, twice.
But it should have been, that should be under special
Oh, I
events
see
then,
it.
it's just
Correct.
it's miscoded.
Technically, it should be under special,
Yeah,
No.
it was, how long ago was it?
for the second time. The second
Like
time.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been a long time miscoded, sitting there.
So,
Delete it.
Budget.
again, yes, that's a prime example. It does end in a 0, but a special events, it should fall under special event. You shouldn't have line items for this particular reason. You have it 2 years and then it goes away and then it lives in your budget. So,
Okay.
there you go.
Dang, I thought you were gonna surprise
Appraisal
us with something.
district
I know.
I was hoping you had a surprise for us there.
This year we gonna do it now.
Appraisal district fees, that's a flat fee that we're charged from the appraisal district, so that's,
You can do it.
drug screening, we screen and drug test all new employees, we actually do that through Next Level. Postage, have y'all heard, they're fixing to raise postage again.
Yeah, I know,
did
but
already.
they just did.
I was in there today.
Yeah, they just did, cause I had to redo my books from us, yeah.
Yeah, 74 cents.
74
Mhm.
cents.
And they barely deliver your mail.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the state, ain't got nothing to do with us, it's the state.
I mean, but why 74?
I'm telling you, cause the books that we have, like I had to redo my books at work, and they like what? They was $13.60. I think it went up to $14.20 for 20 books. I mean, book of 20. Yeah.
We do a lot of mailing.
Mhm.
We do a lot of certified mail because when we're doing liens or notices and things like that, we certify everything, so. Postage is one that's just cost of
Yeah.
doing business. And there's
That's
really no-
understandable. It's a lot going on right there.
No, there's no alternate, sorry. Office supplies, okay, let me just tell y'all, we really don't use that many office supplies. We do go through a lot of paper. The cost of a ream of paper has gone up almost 100% in a year. We've pulled some of the invoices, and we're on Amazon Government Business Prime, so we get like wholesale price. And it is ridiculous, like what we're having to pay just in paper alone. Now, when we had Encode, we had to buy this special paper, the kind that has the little holes down the side, that you have to fold over and peel it apart.
It's a dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
That's old.
Yeah, and that paper was really expensive, so so we're glad now that we can use regular printer paper.
What is the special project for water park?
I don't know. That's another floater. I don't know.
What they was gonna redo it? Huh?
When they built the water park.
When they built it, right?
That's what she said. She think it was when they
but
built it.
Technically, that should have been under Department 500, which is public works, not administration.
Same with special project signs, I'm assuming.
Do it say to you?
No, it don't say nothing about that.
And there's nothing budgeted last year to this year, and nothing has been spent in it. It's just this
There was there
zeros
a
all the
line
way
item that was
across.
there way before.
So
it
they
went
were,
down.
they were just creating accounts and just,
Well, I mean, yeah, just like Eric said, I mean, the crawfish, they did it 2 years, and then it lives on your budget forever, it just makes it messy. So, when we get this cleaned up, I can go in and I can hit that tab to say that zero balance, it won't print out, but I wanted you all to see.
How many?
and we're not doing that anymore,
See,
right?
the
Okay.
Crawfish Festival and the special project water park probably was kind of close
In
together, but this is, yeah, but that was,
So whoever was running finances then just didn't understand how to put codes into the
So
system.
that was like 90s. okay?
Typically, you
no,
don't
it's
just,
probably 2006 or 7.
Okay.
what is the 38,000 miscellaneous 52,502?
So, I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know. That was one of those in there, a lot of times miscellaneous is just kind of like a catch-all, like, sometimes you'll have expenses that come up that maybe doesn't fit really cleanly in a lot of these, so sometimes we'll post it to miscellaneous, but then we'll put a note. So, one of the things that we have been doing, and we've been doing some of it under community outreach, is, employee appreciation. You know, like if we have lunch for Christmas, or we do something in the spring, Monica's come, we did a fish fry.
Fish fry and
in the
tripe.
spring. One of the things that we're looking at doing is starting, y'all, I mean, I wanna be completely honest, I got on my soapbox about it last year, but the number one priority in your city budget should always be your employees.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
your employees
Yep,
are
I
not
agree.
being taken care of and they're not being appreciated, you have nobody to drive this ship.
That's
Right, I agree.
And I'll be honest, I don't think that we've done a good job of taking care of our employees, and so that was one thing that when I came in last year during the budget was going through and saying we have to take care of our employees. We have some good employees that we're gonna lose, and if we start raising the bar and the expectation, the employees that don't match that, well then maybe they'll go somewhere else. But by increasing that bar, we're setting that bar at a specific level to where we are going to recruit good employees, and I feel like we have some fantastic employees. One thing that we would like to do is start kind of doing annual awards with our employees, you know, really recognizing, I mean, we've got some people who've been here a really long time, and nobody has so much as given them a pen and said, thank you for being here 10 years, you know? So that miscellaneous might
So-
be one of the areas that we kind of start using for employee appreciation.
So, are you gonna clean up all these accounts that don't, get rid of those accounts?
The
And
problem
then-
is that you can't
and-
remove them, right?
Legally, we can't get rid of them, but what I can do is I can have the accountant hide them. But I
Right.
wanted y'all to see
Yeah,
them,
that's what I mean,
to
yeah.
see kind of what
Yes.
we've been dealing with, like what it looks like. And then we'll come back with a copy to where you won't see Crawfish Festival
Right.
and all.
And you're gonna keep a miscellaneous account?
It's always good to keep a miscellaneous account, just in the event that something happens, you don't really have a good account to kind of code something to. We don't have to fund it if you don't want to.
I think there should be a name for everything that goes into a bucket.
It's not uncommon to have a miscellaneous account, just in case there's something that's just, doesn't quite fit anything. But yes, and that is one of the good things, is I can go in on some of these, see, I don't know why we have 2 miscellaneous accounts, one has a 2 at the end, so,
Yeah.
that could, the one of those, we could rename to, we can use that code and just rename it to employee appreciation or employee program or something like that.
when we budgeted for the Juneteenth festival, what did we use that
Special
money?
events.
Special
We
events.
haven't
okay.
gotten
It'll take.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's,
yes, we moved money
From miscellaneous.
It's
That's what I
8:30,
thought.
we're only on
Yeah,
page
so
9.
miscellaneous was 50, and we moved money from miscellaneous to special events.
Okay, so
Okay, so anything else on page 9? Also, I've spoke to Eric about this, kinda going back a little bit, under the city council budget, we do have money and we do have vendors that we use for apparel and promotions. If you would like a shirt,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna order me some more too. I got my nice blue one right here. This nice
Thinking
one.
about that in my head.
we can get you some, I mean, again, like, we're obviously budgeting for you guys to be involved in the community, and when you go out, we'd like for you to look nice.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that, like, so people can recognize who we are, you know.
And if there's something specific that you like if you like
Like, we
a
bought these for the
cardigan, or
staff.
you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
something that
Mhm.
you
These
will
little
wear,
sweaters.
like, and I know men are probably not as picky, but like if there's something specific, just tell us and we'll find it.
Be in uniform.
Yeah, yes,
Exactly.
What you need, girl? What you want?
yeah. Okay,
So that means, like,
We get our shirts.
if,
yeah.
if the mayor wants to wear some parachute pants with the zipper in the front,
I believe she said she wanted us to look professional when we went out into the public. Not,
So, on page 10,
what's a $67,000 over expense in building maintenance? Page 10.
so we've
Where
had
you at?
quite the time with this building this
67.
year. Our main AC, which is down the hall in that closet back there, went out. At the same
67,
time,
oh.
our hot water heater went out and busted all through the wall into the kitchen.
So we're not anticipating that budget increasing to 140,000, okay.
Now, I will say, the mayor and I have discussed, and I think, Mr. Richards and I, he was in here when we discussed it. One of the, obviously, we've redone City Hall, and it looks fantastic. We would like to focus on council chambers this year. We would love to change the paint color to match everything else.
To yellow,
Huh?
yellow.
Well, you laugh.
it's been like this for years.
Some of the other walls were yellow. She loves yellow.
Mayor, there's a question.
I love blue. Nah,
We can keep blue if y'all want. I
I'm
will
messing
say
with her.
It has come up, and this is a contentious item, but I want council to discuss it. Okay, just 1 second.
That's what I told her.
We can, so, as we know, this has been a retrofitted building. These two restrooms right here are what we consider our public restrooms.
Mhm.
They are the public access
Accessible.
because they are the only restrooms in outside of the convention center that are ADA accessible. But with that brings a concern that unfortunately the marble floor is
Yeah.
not ADA accessible. So, we need
Nope.
to discuss-
That's why people fall. Yeah,
It's kind of slippery.
it's tough.
Yeah, I remember.
Tough.
A couple people fall over.
It's tough. Yeah.
Hmm?
Get a little slippery. You better watch out. That's like when it be raining. Just be careful.
These floors were put down because it was a safety issue.
That's what I'm trying to say. Before they come slide the other tiles in, people were tripping on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was spent out of
Security.
court security funds.
And I was told that it was actually countertop marble, not floor marble, but I don't.
This
know.
countertop marble, you know what? You're probably right.
It's pretty
I will
smooth.
say
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
slick.
It is.
Any moisture get on it.
That's what I'm telling you. Anytime it rain, be careful. Don't come here think you gonna come here and be smooth. You gonna hit that floor real fast.
So we would like to discuss with council about, if y'all haven't been to the police department looks fantastic. We just did a very, just kind of basic tile. It looks like wood. It's the wood tiles and it looks really, really nice. That's what we would like to propose, but I think the one thing that is a safety concern in this building is right there behind the mayor and Mr. Richards, that
It's
is
the
a
rain.
single pane
Mm.
window that if a 6-year-old
Through something.
threw a rock, it would shatter. And I'll be honest, I don't like the fact that y'all's backs are to that window and something could happen behind you. There's just no protection. And I think in today's world, we need to think about security and protection. I think that that needs to be of utmost importance, so, I would like to just wall in, keep the window on the top, but wall in from there down. I think that that's a immediate safety issue.
Okay.
So, obviously, this is the one, you can tell in here, this is the one area, these ceiling tiles are a little aged. So ceiling tiles, and these are the old halogen lights, they're not the LED lights like we have in the rest of the building, so we'd like to complete this in here. I think it'll, there's about 8 different colors going on.
Yes, sir, what's your question?
Yes, I want to make a suggestion, and it covers 3 topics that you guys talked about. Security, it also talks about, other things, amenities and stuff. You said air conditioning, and you also talked about health of your employees or citizens. That air conditioning is out. Talked to Clint here just now, he does not think the city has air conditioning people that maintains the buildings. I walked in there earlier, used the restroom, there's a black mold on the vent. Black mold is a health risk, which therefore that involves your health insurance. Okay, also my health, because I'm a citizen. But if you have an air conditioning person that works for the city, that goes around fixing the air conditioning for city property, i.e. police department, I mean, they use their city air conditioning.
HVAC.
Right here, I mean, your office, so on and so on. He's a city official, he's maintaining the city property of air conditioning. He could fix his air conditioning on the clock because he's getting paid the salary from the city. If you go hire a contractor, they're gonna charge you an arm and a leg. I know this because I'm a master in air conditioning and refrigeration in the state of Texas. My license is in my pocket right now. I work for HIC, I have over 17 years experience in HVAC. I worked for the VA, ran the central plant at the federal hospital. I know air conditioning like the back of my hand. You fix that air conditioning with a man on the clock that has the knowledge and skill set from doing it, it'll be 10 times cheaper than hiring a contractor that's gonna charge you, oh wait, your city, $20,000.
More than that.
When you have an employee that knows what he's doing, boss, give me this. I go get a quote, okay, swipe the company card, $3,000. Versus, oh, you a city, give me $20,000, I'll get it fixed to you. Because when a contractor sees you guys, they're gonna, oh, ching, ching, ching,
Dollar
ching.
signs.
If you guys have a city person that does air conditioning, you guys can save so much money. You guys will always have air conditioning. The city police department, you can also, since the water district is part of the city building, it's a different code, but you can incorporate them in there as well because it's whatever you wanna do. But I'm sure there's more than one city building besides this and the police department. Am I correct?
Yes.
The air conditioning needs to be maintained. You got a plumber, don't you got a plumber? You got an electrician, why don't you have air conditioning? I mean, there's black mold in that vent. Black mold's not good to breathe. If it's in one vent, it's throughout the building, and you're breathing it, and that's not good for your health, and that's why your health insurance, I'm just listening, but you said the AC went out. It's something to think about to save the city money. It's something to think about. I think I've said enough.
Thank you, sir. We'll consider your thoughts. Okay, let's continue on.
The next line, equipment maintenance, that is our big generator out in the parking lot. So
Dehydrated.
we're still figuring, I'll be honest, we're still figuring the generator out. The generator failed during the hurricane. It was a battery issue.
Thank you, Public Works.
Right, thank you, Public Works. They
Public Works.
came to the rescue. So like I said, we're still figuring that relationship out.
Is it?
So you're saying it run off a battery?
So it does, so the battery's like
Battery
what runs
loses
the
power.
startup.
Yeah, charges the startup.
But we're investigating because apparently there is a cellular monitoring service that comes with it that the city didn't purchase. So
We
we didn't know
the
that.
battery was
because,
bad.
you know, it should it'll notify you, like, say, hey, like, you know, whatever. Anyway, for whatever reason, the city did not want to,
Like the Generac, the new one?
yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So we're looking into getting that cellular service.
Which is honestly really inexpensive,
Right,
so I'm
it's
not
not.
really sure why they declined.
So the generator, the main battery that starts the generator failed. Is that correct?
And we could
Well-
have known about it had we subscribed to the cellular monitoring service, but for some reason we did not subscribe to that, so we didn't know that the battery is bad.
We have that on our towers. So anytime there's an issue, we get a notification. Yeah.
Yeah, because that, I mean, that's a very important piece of
It is.
equipment. I mean, you just can't, this is the second time. The first time it failed, something happened, I don't know, yeah. It's just, it's like the
Oh, no,
second
that
time.
was- No, no,
That
no,
was the
June
AC.
That was the AC, and we fixed that.
I think the generator failed twice. Yeah.
Just wanted to know.
But anyway, it's just a very important piece of equipment. I just hope we can get it resolved.
Yeah.
We've been working,
First time was
we have figured out, now the generator, once it kicks on, it runs on natural gas.
See,
Again, we're not really sure why we chose natural gas, but that was done before we got here.
Typically, you don't lose natural gas when it's, right?
But
Well, we
it's-
weren't sure why they chose natural gas over propane, because a generator that size normally would run off propane, but it is what it is. So, it's fine.
But-
That involves
but-
air conditioning, because propane and air conditioning has different orifices and everything else.
Okay.
And everything else, it's also part of the, propane you have to.
He
put
throwing it
into
at y'all. Y'all better
conditioning,
grab it.
Stuff like that, there's for the plumber or the air conditioning master has to have a separate, railroad commission to deal with propane. If that, it has to be that man, it cannot be an individual, that's why we have natural gas, because it's universal all the way around.
Okay.
And that I know because it's part of my craft.
Another thing under equipment maintenance is
Keys.
building,
Oh.
huh?
Oh,
This
go ahead.
building was not
thank you.
we have no fire suppression system, and we weren't being monitored. So if City Hall caught on fire in the middle of the night, nobody but Tony would know, because he's within walking
I would
distance
see it.
of City Hall. So, we now have a fire alert system, but we still don't have a suppression system, water, we don't have water suppression. Do what?
Are you feeling safer and safer
Yes,
sitting in
it's
this
very
building?
expensive. It's very expensive.
Mhm.
So we are now on a monthly monitored fire plan with Centos, so that all goes into equipment maintenance. Engineering fees, again, that's we went out to bid, we had several engineers, so far, I mean, we use LJA, we've been incredibly happy with them. I think one of the benefits of LJA is they also work for a lot of agencies around us. You know, they work with the county, so if we're doing a mobility project, we're able to kind of coexist with engineering, and it's worked really well. So, I will say one thing is, they were doing
Gotcha, I know
quarterly
what you're
billing, we're gonna ask them.
Gotcha, So about the keys, they go with
The what?
the keys.
Oh,
The thing y'all said,
we're not even waiting till next budget year, we're already working on that.
huh?
The keys, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're already so,
Oh, okay.
a problem that we had, we're not even waiting till next budget year, we're
Okay.
dealing with it right now. We have this great system, where you tap in to get in, but when the generator dies and you don't have power, the mag locks stick, and we don't have a way to get into City Hall.
So that's why they couldn't open it.
So we
for-
couldn't even open the doors. So,
Didn't know. That's why I called.
Erica and I literally had to get with Daryl one day and figure out who has keys to what, because Daryl was the only one who had a key to the front door. I had a key to my office and to Daryl's office, but didn't have a key to the back door. But when the power went down, we couldn't even get into the building.
So there's a bag of battery on the maglock?
Yeah, the mag lock, when the power goes down, it sticks and it doesn't release, so we couldn't even get into the building.
Well, we didn't have a key to get them.
and we didn't have a key, so we're in the process of getting everything rekeyed and getting that issue fixed. So Monique and I had talked about it, that's an immediate need, we're not waiting till next year, so we're doing that right now.
Okay. I just don't understand how
I have no idea other than when the power,
I used to install those. The only way that has to have a power
it
source.
was stuck, we couldn't get in. And then for the back door, I don't even have a key for the back door.
Okay. Maybe they
Daryl had a key to get into his outside door, but in the front door, but that was it. This system's been a learning curve. The item Tony brought up was insurance, liability, and property. That was a big one for us because the first week that we were here, we got a bill from TML that was past due from the August of 2022. We had 37 vehicles on that liability policy that the city did not own anymore. Not one of our police vehicles was insured. We had 40-something council members that were being insured. We had over 100 employees that we were paying insurance for. We had just lost our canine dog, of which we did not have insured. What else was there? It was a whole mess of, so what I'm assuming happened was over the years as council members came off, they never took that council member off of the policy and put the new one. They just kept adding people on. So you can imagine every 2 years, I mean, Eric could have been on there, how many, 14 times? Because they never, instead of just updating the council list with 5 council members and a mayor, they just kept submitting and they weren't correcting it every year. So we had, 40-something council members on there. Same thing with employees. We were not taking employees off of our insurance. So we were still paying for them.
And a couple calls.
Oh, 37, we had 37 cars that the city didn't even.
Equipment, yeah.
We had equipment that we didn't own. None of our heavy equipment at Public Works was insured. I mean, we had to do a complete scrap and start over, and it saved us over $100,000.
Is that for a year or a month?
Why is your telephone $15,000 over for this year?
Because
I thought we finally cleaned that up.
Stacy can go into that, and I had I had to ask Eric some questions about telephone, cause it's expensive. I mean, we went to Citricom, but we were paying consolidated $9,000 a month for phone service.
For phone what?
Phone service.
Phone service. And Stacy got it down to less than 2,000.
Yeah.
So is that budget number of 15,000 going to be accurate for the upcoming year? Or?
I think that with what Stacy was able to do with Citricom, we were able to take the cost of City Hall phone, what was an annual price for City Hall, and we were able to cover the entire city. So that's City Hall, Public Works, and Police.
Okay.
It's
And-
20,000 per year.
So the suggested budget is 20,000 for the year?
For
Okay.
everything, yeah. For all our phones.
And on the bottom of the same page, we have special events, showing in there, it has a $8,700
So
over
that
expense.
is, special events, that is the one that I had brought to y'all last time. Most likely, we're gonna just throw an even number in there at about 100,000. That is giving, we had gone through all the different events, the last one, and we were budgeting anywhere from 15 to 17 per event. Now, I will say, I don't know how much longer we can do the fireworks show the way that we did it this year, because the state is really regulating fireworks, and I am going to recommend that we just use a fireworks company where they bring a trailer out. We didn't, yeah, we didn't pull a county permit. Technically, we're supposed to pull a permit from the fire marshal, and we were just very fortunate that we didn't have an issue this year.
The fire department was supposed to be there, right?
Yeah, it's the
No,
No,
we have
previously-
ESD.
previously,
It's the
the fire
ESD.
department will be,
Well, ESD
We
is
do have
local
one
in
in
Brookshire.
was over, the whole field started catching fire.
I know.
So,
Yes.
2 police officers, me, my sister,
Well, and not to mention, Ernest told me how much we had to clean up
yeah,
Friday morning.
yeah,
Woo.
and the
So-
field was catching.
oh,
Right, and
wow.
so, I mean, keep in mind, like, when we have events like that and Public Works has to go in and do cleanup the next day, I mean, that's time and a half for our guys.
Well, that's exactly why the state has required licensed pyrotechnicians for all of this kind of
They
stuff.
usually like back in the day the I guess the fire people that we had, they were on standby when we used to do it anyway.
They were on standby.
But that's what I'm saying, they was there.
They were there.
But what I would recommend going forward, at the last time we were talking about special events, we had a rough estimate of about 72,000. If we covered every event that we wanted, that's what it would be. I'm gonna put in 100 because I think that we need to go through a pyrotechnic company. And what they do is they bring out a trailer, the lid comes off the trailer, everything is packed inside of it, it's all mechanical. Most of the stuff stays within a certain region, they clean it up, they hold the liability insurance, they're responsible for everything.
And that's what I was gonna say, in my previous experience, the pyrotechnic company is the one that gets the permit from the
Right.
fire marshal.
And we don't have to worry with that. So that's my recommendation, is that we fold a little bit of extra money into July 4th and go about it the right way, so that we're not having to, put a fire out.
Can I go back to telephones? Years ago, I tried to like pull away from Consolidated, but we're in a long contract. But I did find out that the contract really only covered what was in place in 1983, which is copper lines. I do know that Consolidated is our franchise company, but if it only covers the copper lines and we're using voice over IP, can we go out for a different company?
Stacy has been working tirelessly on that, so I would recommend that you and her talk together, because I don't know enough.
Consolidated doesn't do anything with our phones any longer. Citricom is our phone service provider. They are VoIP phones. Consolidated is the only game in town for internet. They own every inch of fiber right in Brookshire. I did try to go out to bid for internet, and it just was not cost effective. So
Like, we had to, our infrastructure cost, like if we went with AT&T, it was over $100,000. Cause I'm assuming they wanted us to pay for the fiber and everything to connect here. I don't know, that's outside of my wheelhouse, I'll admit that. But I know that they did give us a bill to get the infrastructure here, to then get the service, and it was like, and like, my office is like the furthest from anybody else, so like, there are days where like, I'm in there and I feel like I'm on dial-up, it just sits there and the little thing just turns, like,
and I'm working on that
it's
with Consolidated.
awful.
And honestly, in changing our customer service rep, I met with the new guy and his supervisor, and they went through everything, and honestly, we were mishandled for many years.
Mm-hmm.
We're just a cash cow to our previous customer service rep, and he was just happy to take the money from, and our phones that we were using were so old, they were just.
Oh, and we were
even
paying
better
to rent them,
paying to rent them
$40 a month per phone.
And
You
everyone
you
has
drop
their
some.
own phone number,
You drop
which we
some.
were paying for, which was insane.
She dropped some outside.
Um,
You drop some?
A paper on the ground or
to
something?
get our internet a little bit better than what it is, and, cause we only had 50,
No, I guess not. It looked like you did.
You only had what?
50 original. That was it, that's all we had
happy
for the
now.
entire building.
I told you.
With fiber running over?
That's all we had.
It was more than, it was supposed to be more than that.
So,
I think
Anyway.
you and Stacy, like, you need to,
Yeah, because I remember when they ran the fiber over here.
He helped them.
What? Okay.
again, community outreach, we have the same thing. On administration, like I said, special events, we'll bump that up to 100. Consulting, we, this year, we did use a communications consultant that helps, you know, if we have messages that we have to deliver, or, you know, we need to prepare, you know, a statement for something and it's outside of legal's wheelhouse, they have somebody that they recommend, and we've used them before. Consulting is, you know, anybody who is outside of like the normal realm of professional services that we would have an independent contract. Right now, we're using Joesh under consulting, so he's giving us economic development consulting on some of, clearing up some of our issues. Beautification, we are gonna see an increase on beautification under administration because the grant out here on the sidewalks, we had this was before I got here, but we had just paid to have this all re-landscaped, and then they tore everything up. So we did get a bid from Last Grandsons to redo the irrigation and the landscaping, and it was like
And that was like $41,000.
$41,000. So we are going out to bid for that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going out to bid for that, and hopefully we can get that down significantly, but we'll be doing and we're going to do like a zero scape type thing, something that doesn't require a lot of color change, looks nice, but we don't have to water it all the time. So we will see an increase in the beautification line. Emergency management, this is one that we just kind of hold $20,000 in there. In an email that I'd sent out to y'all, if any of y'all want to go through that process of getting, you know, taking some of your emergency management certifications, that's where we'll do that from. But keep in mind, we can't, it's almost virtually impossible to budget for emergency management. So we have an emergency management line, and then we also have an incident response line, and those are during an emergency. If we're having to utilize funds for emergency management, we will just do a budget amendment. We do have a contract. It's an annual rollover contract with a company called Garner Services that actually provide emergency management services to us. So if at any time, let's say there's a Hurricane Harvey that comes through and there's significant damage, we need pumps, we need light towers, we need washers and dryers, we need, you know, food service stuff, shelter stuff. They cover all of that, but it's already pre-bid through FEMA. So we have to use FEMA prices in order to get FEMA reimbursement. So the mistake that a lot of cities make is they go out and they hire somebody to come in and bring, you know, washers and the trailers that have like washers and dryers. But FEMA will reimburse you for that if it is at the FEMA rate. A lot of people, or a lot of cities have gotten in trouble, not physically in trouble, but financially in trouble by utilizing these services and them not meeting the requirements of FEMA reimbursement, and then they don't get reimbursed for it. So Garner Services, every service that they have, the fee up front is already the federally approved FEMA pricing, so we don't have to worry about that. So anything we use with them is going to be reimbursed by FEMA. And they're a phone call away. We just have to call them, and they have about a 6 to 12 hour activation period. Computer and software. We had to replace servers this year, so that's why you will see we had 3 servers fail, major servers fail. We use an IT company that does have their governmental certification. They've also done all of their, what do you call it, chief, like your law enforcement, so they can deal with the law enforcement equipment over at PDs. Ideally, all of our equipment needs to be on an equipment replacement plan, and they suggest now that computer stuff doesn't really go past 5 years. So they monitor that. We had servers that, we had one server that we caught by like a couple of days before it like went offline and we lost everything. So all of our servers are up. We have a backup server, the court server went out, we replaced that, we lost that in a power outage. The power outage fried that server, so they were able to fix and repair that. Our software system, we have our Fundview financial system, it's cloud-based, so the great thing about it being cloud-based is it's not stuck to a desktop in an office. If I have to get up and go work at PD, the software goes with me on my computer because it's cloud-based, but I'm not having to pay for upgrades. Anytime they do an upgrade or any sort of, like update to the computer system, that's included in the cloud-based pricing. I know that, we were due for an Encode upgrade. I think that they had approved it like a year and a half ago. They just called us like 2 months ago wanting us to do it. It was like a $15,000 upgrade, and that's how long we had to wait. So that's one of the great things about our finance system is we don't have to do that. It's part of the program. It's an annual subscription fee.
Do we have surge protectors on all the computers?
We did not, but we do now.
What
We've
about,
also made sure that all employees who use a government-issued computer now have their cybersecurity training, and we do have cybersecurity liability insurance if we were to get hacked.
You had a question?
technology?
Yes, so technology is, technology is gonna be really big on the public works and the PD side because it has their radios and all of their FirstNet telephones in it.
Okay.
Technology, one of the big things this year was the camera system. So MPC Tech, they manage the server that hosts all of the cameras. Our cameras were outdated, so apparently like the server could only hold so many cameras, and then as we added the convention center on, we wanted to be able to see in that parking lot and stuff, so MPC, anything dealing with the cameras at City Hall, the doors, or the security goes under technology.
Is that the Harris County radio systems on here too?
No, that is in PD, we'll get
It's
to that in a
PD,
second,
okay.
under radios. That kind of wraps up administration, any questions there?
Do you all have cameras in the inside of the convention center, the building?
There is one inside of I don't even know where it is.
There's two.
Oh, there's two.
There's two. There's one, it's a 360, it's in that front hallway, so it can see all the doors. Well, you can see it. No, you can see it.
Me
It's-
too, cause I see.
No, it's like in the middle. No, it's in the middle of the room. They can see it. Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanna know.
It's voting purposes too.
Right. Huh? And voting goes on.
I mean, if you go to vote over there, there's someone watching you, that's kind
We-
of wrong.
That's an infringement.
So during election, we didn't have it there for elections this year, but during elections, we can turn them off.
But is there a way
Well,
that we know that it's off? Like if there's like.
I mean, I don't know that.
You say it's off, but how do I know when I walk?
No,
in
you're
there and
right.
I vote for Mickey
You are-
Mouse? I don't know if that camera's off.
You're right, but I will tell you that, well, I mean, and I will say that I hadn't actually thought about that. It was just put in. But I will also say that cameras in the convention center, and maybe that's not the one that we need, that's the 360 above, but we've gotta have eyes on people that are having functions. And I don't mean like watching your party, I just mean,
You said you have to have eyes, but now we're paying for 2 officers when we rent the building, so how many eyes
I will say we did have an
Security
instance,
security.
last week where somebody came in and said, when they got there to the convention center, that there was trash all over the floor and a bunch of other stuff, and this was a repetitive renter that we've had problems with before, and Erica just went and popped open the cameras on that day and was like, no ma'am, that there was not trash on the floor, you know. So it has, I mean, to that extent, it has been helpful. Unfortunately, I will say we've had problems lately in the convention center with people leaving it trashed. I mean, we had one event that it took our cleaning company 9 hours to clean the that's how trashed it was. I mean, it was bad.
When was that?
They left like
It was a few weeks ago. There was
they
like,
put meat
yeah,
and food in the trash cans with no trash bags, and
and then left it in
and
there.
then left it there all weekend.
So it wasn't trash bags provided?
Oh,
No, there were.
Could we have an officer there?
It is the officer. You rent for officer, so it's, yeah. Actually two now, huh?
Could the officer,
Two.
one, when we're voting,
You got to
turn
pay
the
for two.
camera off, so there's some eyes watching you over my shoulder, but the officer's there in place of that camera, but also if there's having a party that's trash in it, then that officer could write me a ticket because you're defacing city property. So the officer there would serve as a twofold justice thing, turn the camera off so I feel safe when I'm voting for Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. He's there, okay, I don't have the camera, but he's there in his place. And then if I'm throwing a party, if I wanna trash the city hall or the convention center, come here, I'm gonna write you a ticket, clean this up, or
And
take you
you
to
also
jail.
have to remember that, yes, I'm sure Erica's the only person who can access them, don't ask me. But, I mean, the building, anytime, one whole wall of that convention center is glass. If somebody were to shatter that glass tonight, it's a tool for us to be able to use to see, like any other building. It's a security feature.
Yes,
Well, I'm just
What?
using that hypothetically.
right.
What'd you say? Oh, no, that's not true.
Yeah, Public Works hit it with the rock and evermore.
Not that.
You just never know what will go on during the event, how somebody might. That's what the security officers are for,
I was
something.
working security.
That's what we're paying them $45 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Kid, go to the restroom, or,
It's not a problem until it is.
yeah,
Not when that is.
it'll pick us up.
Speaking of the convention center,
Yeah, but it was a camera in
I
there
know the
before
policy was
they just
changed,
renewed it.
and,
What's her name?
of course, they're talking about security officers. I know in the past,
Okay.
Told me, I'm
officers were
watching
only needed if it was alcohol being served. But now, if someone's having a baby shower, a church function, I don't think that's
I'm
okay.
gonna defer to.
I don't think so either, cause I'm being honest with,
Yeah.
before y'all changed the cameras, it was a camera in there. And when we did the July, when I was over it, when we did it was the gospel thing, the gospel explosion. And I came in and I had to work, so I came in and tried to help them clean up. And somebody texted me and told me that they was watching me on the camera. I'm not saying who it was, but somebody texted me and told me they was watching me on the camera. I didn't even know it was cameras in there.
There wasn't a
Yes, it
camera
was.
here.
That-
Not inside.
It
There was outside the back, in the
No,
front.
in right here, like I was standing right
Like
here.
in here?
No, in the convention center, like we know how we serve food at that area right there. I was standing right there. I did not make the event because I had to work. And when I went in to help them clean up, I was texted and told, "I'm watching you on the camera. What do you?"
Okay,
I'm just telling you.
let's get back to agenda.
So I don't know where that camera come from or how long it's been there, but
Anyway, let's
Okay,
let's
next
continue.
department is Keep Brookshire Beautiful. Obviously, that's where I will go in. I will add money. We can meet and discuss how we wanna do YAC
it's the yeah.
advisory, but that's where we will put it. And we already have $5,000 in there for special events. That's just kind of like a holding spot. So this is a department that I am looking to build out in the next year, and I think utilizing youth advisory to help do that would be a great idea. Public Works. Not a whole lot to talk about on page 13. 14. Public Works is gonna be kind of where we house our license and permitting on the residential side, license and permitting on commercial side, and anything with engineering fees is gonna fold over on Public Works. So we're gonna expense any of the Bureau Veritas inspections that we do, anything with permitting. This year, one of the things that you'll see on here is that we still have outstanding the ARPA funds that were dedicated to road work. So that's about, it's roughly 4 something.
Just saw that.
475,000.
Where's that at?
So it was in here under,
It's on page 17, almost at the bottom of the page.
capital outlay streets. So that will remain at 475,000 next year. That's the ARPA dedication. Again, in
See, that's just gonna carry over directly to the next year's budget, and this will then be matched with the funds from the county for our street project?
no, this is ARPA.
This is the ARPA
This
funds.
is the ARPA. So what we'll try to
This
do
is-
is
okay.
what we've kind of already talked about with Ernest and Clint is that because we have that in there and we weren't, it's already in the budget. And ARPA didn't come to fruition because we're at the mercy of engineering on this grant project. We've already prioritized, we're just waiting on engineering. We're gonna take some of these smaller areas in town that we can do ourselves and some fixes that we can do, and we're gonna start hitting those till the end of the year, trying to use as much of that money as we can. So, if we have to look at, doing an overlay on, we've got the priority list, we'll sit down and go through that and see what we can hit within that time frame.
Okay.
By the end of the year, so that 400,000 that's in there doesn't just, fold back in. Another thing that I wanna discuss is the culvert.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
So the ARPA funds are for just general projects in the city. Is that correct?
Yes, the ARPA fund it's dedicated, like the ARPA fund is dedicated $475,916.
For street repairs.
Yes, for street repairs, but it's.
Only street repairs?
Yes, only street repairs, but there's no specification. We get to choose what streets those are that fit in there, and we kinda go by our priority list.
Okay.
The culvert replacement program, we've really drilled that down a lot. So culvert replacement program coincides with a lot of our drainage corrections. So we just talked about this in EDC about, one of the big asks for Public Works, and both of the guys are here so they can help me if y'all have questions. One of the big asks in terms of correcting a lot of the drainage internally has just simply been, we haven't had the equipment. So, we have a grade all. We are cross-training several employees on the grade all now, and I hope that y'all have seen, we've done a lot of fantastic things the last couple of months, cleaning a lot of stuff up, like actually finally utilizing the grade all. We have some other equipment. Over the years, we bought equipment, and Ernest and I talked about this today. We bought what we could when we could, and some of it's pretty bad. I mean, we went to like auctions and we bought equipment that was like already 20 years old, and this was 20 years ago. And this year we have replaced tractors because we had tractors that the guys were carrying around water bottles with hydraulic fluid and pouring the hydraulic fluid into the tractor to even make it down 90. We have purchased weed eaters, backpack blowers, I mean, just simple things that like we did not have. So we have an excavator right now that, how many hours? Backhoe. Yeah, over 6,000, and we are spending an incredible amount of money to keep it running, and it's not even safe to operate.
What kind of program can we put in place for drainage, digging out the ditches and dealing with the COVID issue? And I see the COVID fund here, but do you have any equipment? Can you hire a contractor, outside contractor?
We've actually put in the budget this year to purchase some equipment that will allow us to productively get the drainage taken care of. I can't speak for in the past why, I know that there's been lots of conversations with councils in the past about we need to get drainage done, we need to start digging ditches, and it was never done. But one of the things that we're putting in the budget this year is a jet machine to actually go through and clean the culverts, the ones that can still be are in good condition, and equipment to go in and to be able to effectively cut those ditches and actually make some headway. So we will continue to maintain our culvert program. The way that works is if Eileen needs her culvert done, she comes in, makes a request, she pays for the culvert, we do the work. Previously, we were purchasing the culverts from Steinhauser's, which was very, very expensive, because I mean, they're third party. We've now gone straight to the manufacturer, which is in Brookshire, and we've been able to get them at a wholesale price, which has helped us out financially, to make that more affordable. And then the guys set up a schedule. When they wanna come to Eileen's house, they pull the culvert, they shoot the grade, clean the ditch, replace the culvert, and go on about their way.
Right,
So-
because as I mentioned in the EDC meeting, and you know, Eileen, we went out the day of the storm, and there's quite a bit of flooding out there, so we're trying to hope that we can get something in place for digging out the ditches and cleaning out the culverts.
That is one of our main concerns that we've all talked about for this coming year is the ditch program. Replacing the defunct culverts, and we're taking out, I mean, we have a ton of the crushed, damaged, old concrete culverts, and a lot of that is they can't even, they're collapsed in the middle. They need to be taken out, replaced, and then doing the ditches. In fact, we were supposed to start, we had it on the schedule to start that, the week the hurricane hit, so clearly we haven't been able to do that, but rest assured, we are requesting some equipment this year. We've paid off, this last year was our last payment of the grade-all. When we bought that grade-all, it was a $500,000 piece of equipment. We financed it over 5 years. This last year was our last payment. We're going to maintain that same amount in the budget so that we can purchase some more equipment that we need. We are coming on Wednesday to talk to you guys about a dump truck. So, interesting story. We have a dump truck that, how long ago did we get it, Ernest? About 5 years ago, but we bought it used. It was an 18-wheeler. It was retrofitted into a dump truck. And how much are we spending on repair? We spend a lot on repair. And it also requires a CDL. When we bought that dump truck, we didn't even have a CDL driver. So we have had to kind of go back to the drawing board.
We had one, but we using for operating Dale.
Dale and Junior.
We had
So
two.
we're looking at a much safer, more efficient dump truck, and the intent is that we now have a trailer to put the equipment on that can hook up to the dump truck, and it's just helps in that ease of getting those ditches done. We can haul out in the morning, everybody is there in one truck. You've got the trailer and the equipment behind it, they stop at location, they work on that street, and everything's there. Cause we were making, how many trips? So, to replace one culvert requires 7 to 8 tons, yards, 7 to 8 yards of stabilized sand. And we're having to make several trips back and forth to get that, and so it's not efficient. So that is one of our keys in Public Works, is to become a lot more efficient in the way that we do things this year, and drainage is a top priority. Other than that, honestly, Public Works is not changing that much. We have talked about potentially taking over mosquito control. We have somebody who's interested in getting their license and doing mosquito control in-house, but we don't have anything definite on that yet. So that is one thing that could be changing. Any other questions on Public Works? We are, this year, we are due up for replacing a lot of stop signs and road signs. Also, one thing we noticed back in May when we had the storm was that we don't have a lot of transportable signs. So when signs got knocked over, street lights went out, we didn't have anything that we could go to a trailer, pull out as a temporary sign and put up. And so that is something that we're gonna cost share with PD, and Chief was able to find we can buy a pre-purchased trailer that has cones, signs, lights, everything in it, that in the event hurricane, storm, we can pull that out, and we're just seamless with taking care of that. Obviously waste hauling, that's the largest item in here. That's trash service. There's nothing beautiful about it. It is what it is. So with trash service, we do have a couple of fees that go with that. We have the trash service, we have the sales tax, and we have the software that manages, the billing software that manages that. Any questions on 16 or 17?
We got a long ways to go, so.
Okay, police. Honestly, police is like the last one. I will say, court.
There's 88 pages, and we are managed to make it to page 18 in 2.5 hours, so.
No. I will say, honestly, police, I'm going to just jump ahead and say courts is Department 800. There is no change in courts. So courts is a one and done. We don't even have to talk about
I'll hold it down.
Our courts has been running very smooth. They're doing a lot of records retention. Nothing in courts changes. So we can go into police. Chief is here with some questions. We do have,
What happened to payroll taxes?
in PD,
Yeah, where they budgeted them for nearly $600,000. We've only spent $100,000 for the year.
I don't know. That's one that I have on here to look into. So on PD, when we get to y'all don't wanna stay?
No, we're leaving?
Honestly, police is our last department, and then we're done. So PD salary, we have 4 open positions right now, and then we have 4 frozen positions that we would like to unfreeze for next year, to anticipate that if we fill all 8 of those positions, we will be fully staffed. According to our population and our square mileage, that's the amount of officers that we should have to be fully staffed.
So why were the positions frozen?
The council discussion, that was essentially two-pronged. Number one was looking at the number of policemen that we needed to hire, and just kind of saying that if we can get this many in a year, that would be great. And then that allowed us to keep some budget money back by having frozen
We
positions.
also didn't have a police chief last year.
Oh, we didn't have a
during-
police chief,
during
and
budget time, and so we knew that there was a lot of changes that had to happen, and we weren't really sure what that was gonna look like, so we didn't wanna remove those 4 positions, we just froze them. Because when I got here in August, we only had 5 of them.
So we're gonna unfreeze those positions,
Yes,
right?
correct,
yes,
yes.
yeah, that's she said. Well, I'm freezing them.
We're gonna unfreeze them, yes. And one of the things that we did last year was we increased the starting base salary for our police officers, because I'll be honest, our pay scale for police officers was terrible. So we increased the base scale, the starting salary is $58,000 now, and then for every year of service as a police officer up to 7 years, they get $1,000. So that's essentially $65,000, and then we offer incentive pay on top of that for their license, their bilingual accent reconstruction,
Drug recognition.
yeah, field training officer.
I see we have the incentive, hiring incentive on the.
Yes, we do. We have that, and that worked great the first time we did it. The first time we did it in a 6-month increment, because it was a pilot program. We didn't know what that was gonna look like. We knew that cities around us were doing it, and if it sweetened the deal and got us good officers, it was well worth the money spent, and it did. We got some great officers, so it's gonna be up to y'all, what you want that term to be, if you wanna do 6 months again. I think that's a fair time frame, but, yeah, I mean, I will say one of the things that I am super proud about in our police department is right now the average years of service for the average year of service for our police officers is 22 years. So it's not like we've just been grabbing a bunch of people right out of the academy. I think that helped having the signing bonus. We secure them for 3 years, and we're able to get more seasoned officers. It's more enticing for them to come over. One thing that we will be adding in here that you will not see on here is, because we are short-staffed right now, when a police officer works overtime, we have a policy that we don't financially pay them, we pay them in comp time, so it's time and a half. However, it is very hard to pay a police officer in comp time if you're short-staffed, because when are they gonna take that time off if you're short-staffed?
Just my opinion, comp time is just, I think people should be paid in overtime. I mean,
Hey.
everybody,
And I don't know why
everybody,
that's been the policy.
I wouldn't want no content.
Eric or the mayor.
I can help you with that. Budget was nowhere near what it is now.
Well, that's fair.
Nowhere near.
I mean, it's like we're a dog chasing our tail. We're short-staffed on PD, so they're having to work extra hours, but we're paying them with comp time, but they can't take the hours because we're short-staffed.
Yeah, and that actually created another problem, because we had police officers with a lot of comp time.
I
And when
ran
they-
a accrual
and when they
for
left.
today. I'm entering everything in a spreadsheet and running an accrual right now. If everybody at just the police department were to leave and cash out on their comp time and vacation, it would be $2.5 million.
wow.
How much?
$2.5 million. But you have to keep in mind, we have an employee over there who's been with the city for 40 years. We've got dispatchers who've been there decades. I mean, and when they're short-staffed and we're just paying them in comp time, it doesn't work out.
It's just my opinion. I think my opinion only, that we should get rid of comp time for all employees. It should be overtime for all employees. I mean, I know at your salary level, you're probably exempt. I mean,
Correct.
non-exempt,
There are
I mean non-exempt employees, of
Hourly,
course.
yeah.
Of course, hourly employees.
So
So it's-
for y'all's reference, the only hourly employees that the city has are Public Works and Patrol.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And which time and a half makes sense for them too.
Now, all office staff, their salary, which is good,
But s-
because, I mean,
Some salary employees should be eligible for overtime depending on their status of their
correct.
pay
That-
grade
that is correct.
status.
And they get comp time, they get the
Yeah.
time and a half. And I will say there are some that do like the comp time, because they can leave early on Friday or, whatever. But,
Staff is not good to leave on here.
right, but with
Yeah.
Patrol and Public Works, that's where it hurts the hardest with, the comp time if you're.
It was a few times where we decided to pay Public Works hourly and not pay them comp time, but I don't know how many times we did that, but we've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
And emergencies are different. Emergencies are different.
Yeah.
She's right. We handle emergencies completely different. We outright pay them for emergencies, or if there's a federally declared whatever COVID storm, there's hazard pay that we'd be eligible for. So that's completely different.
so here's an idea. You said that there's all those people over there that has all this comp hours that if they decided to leave and cash out, it's like 2 million or 2.5 million. That's a huge hit. So I have an idea that can benefit the city and the worker. So you explain to the worker, I want to pay you 8 hours of overtime, but I'm taking that money, that 8 hours that you're making, that 8 hours, your salary, I'm deducting that from your comp time. So by doing this, technically you are still paying him by law. You're just removing that comp time and you're giving him the money.
We do that.
And by doing that, he's looking at that as a bonus, you know, to help out, and it's reducing that hour. So if I decide to leave, you don't have to, you know, get stuck with a $500,000 bill. You get stuck with $2,000.
We've actually been doing that lately. So like Oscar, you know, Captain Garcia, he's been here 100 years. And he has got a ton of time, and that's just the nature of what he does. You know, he gets a lot of time. So we've been encouraging him, please cash out on some of your comp time, and he's been doing that. But we do encourage when there was a policy that you couldn't carry your comp time over X amount of hours.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
then,
gonna say that.
Again, back to this circle, when you're short-staffed, you can't say you worked overtime, I'm not giving you any more because you've met that threshold. That's not fair. So they continued to, you know, when we had short
Accumulate.
staff, to accrue that. So now that we're getting more adequately staffed, we've been encouraging them, hey, cash out on your comp time. And they've been doing that. You know, Cheyenne, she will come in and work day hours, and then somebody calls in sick for dispatch, well then she ends up working till 10 o'clock. So same thing, you know, with her and some of the dispatchers. So we do encourage that, but that is one thing that we will be adding a change. So if y'all agree with that, that's great. I think one of the honestly, not a whole lot changes in PD. Vehicles is one of the big ticket items. When I got here in August, we had 2 functioning patrol vehicles. We were able to go into an agreement with Enterprise to where we're on a 3 to 5 year term. So we actually, and a lot of cities have done this, we actually lease our vehicles now. So we get our vehicles brand new, they're upfitted with all the equipment that we need inside of them. We keep them for a minimum of 3 years. We can extend it past 3 years, and then they will take our equity out. When we're ready, we'll go into a new vehicle, and we just continue it. So we've been able to completely fulfill our entire fleet. We got our last 4 this year. We should be good for next year, right? Yes. So we've got our last 4. They're being upfitted. They're waiting to be upfitted. The problem with
He's knocking on wood to make sure.
One of the things that we did run into with the police vehicles is, for the new people, you know, they're not just normal Tahoes. It's a PPV. It's a police pursuit vehicle, so it has a special engine in it. Chevy quit making them for a while after COVID, and so they got really backlogged. And it was like, if you found one, you had to get it. Enterprise kind of put us at the top of the list. PD's built a really good relationship with Parkway Chevrolet, and they're one of the sole providers of police units, and so they've been great working with us and getting in. We actually secured some of the last 4 around because they have stopped making them. They're not gonna continue making them until the end of 2025. So we feel like we got pretty lucky on getting those final 4.
I got a question.
Yes.
I heard just a little bit about converting the old fire department over to Public Works. Can you go into detail about that?
We talked about that 6 or 7 months ago. So the building was just sitting there. We have fantastic equipment that we need any place to put it. And so we were looking at that garage area and with the office space as an area where the public works guys could kind of have a meeting room. But then we could store the tractors and stuff in the bays of the fire department. And then we looked at fencing in that whole area so that we had kind of cause you know, there are actually like, there's a little shed in the back that they had started to build like, kind of like little dorm rooms in. I think there's 3. But they never finished it. So we were looking at using that as a place to kind of store equipment because quite honestly, we've had a lot of equipment go missing over the years because we've had nowhere to lock it up. We've had no way to have any oversight over it, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment has gone missing.
Okay. Well,
We need to be careful because this is not on the agenda, and I don't want us to be in violation of our open meetings by bringing up topics that.
it should be budgeted if they're talking about it.
Well,
Now,
it,
I will say that I don't really agree with that,
I don't either.
and I'm gonna give you a lot of pushback on that one. Simply because of I know what's coming, and we really need to really beef up our emergency services. And if you want to know a little bit more detail, I can tell you things that transpired down through the years.
And we brought it to council because we had an immediate need, like with preserving a lot of our new equipment that we've gotten, and honestly, having a little bit more visible presence right there being on 90 rather than kind of pushed in the back. If that's not gonna work out, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna die on that hill, but what I am gonna do is say, hey, that's fine, we can kind of abort that mission, but we're gonna have to put some money into some facilities out
Yeah.
at the public works.
I agree with that.
Because, the whole yard needs to be fenced,
The
The building.
bathrooms are, it's just, it's
Yeah.
terrible
and so
over
that's
there.
fine, that's a concession, those are the things, like, I can work and we can make those concessions, but if we don't, we were trying to utilize the facilities that we had at the least amount of investment, and that fit at the time, but if that's not gonna work, then that's fine, we just need to reallocate and put some money in over at Public Works to get it where we need it to be.
I'd rather do that.
Okay. Anything else on Public Works? Police, sorry. Chief, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I know, that's what I got it for
We
you.
will be getting a new 911 system, that's not at our mercy, 911 does that with me. Mr. Richards, you had a question about radios, we are coming to you on Wednesday, requesting, we have to get new radios for PD, that's an emergent need, but the maintenance of that will go under radio maintenance. No, they got, body cams last year, yeah. But I think, Mr. Richards, you had a question about radios that I did not know the other day, so.
I was asking, when you get the new radios at the console, the fixed-in consoles for dispatch, will they need to be replaced in the equipment over there? With the new radio system, is going to be the Harris County system?
That's a Harris County 911. That upgrade was supposed to take place in June,
Yeah,
but for some reason we've been pushed back.
Okay.
I will say one thing that we're trying to fit in the end of this year budget, and I think we're gonna be able to make it work, if not, you'll see it in the upcoming budget. We've never done a good job of keeping kind of tactical supplies on hand, like ammunition. Chief is requesting some rifles, we haven't had rifles, you'll see that there's, we're requesting about 60,000 in uniforms. When I came in August, I don't know if you knew this or not, we didn't have a standard uniform. Basically, we told our officers, just go to the uniform store and pick take whatever you want out. So we have gone to a standard uniform, shirt, pants, duty belt. So everything is standard. The chief is going through, and basically we have a checklist. When we hire somebody in, Stacy has her HR stuff, chief has his stuff, and in his checklist is the equipment checklist. You go to the uniform store, you get A, B, C, D, you know, everything is checked off. So that we know if we separate with that employee, we also know what we have to get back as well. Every officer gets a phone, taser, body cam, what else, what am I missing?
Well, for example, even when it comes to uniformity of the uniform, the city was not paying for their duty gear, which is your inner and outer belt, holster, handcuffs, handcuff cases, radio holder, flashlight loop, those things. So that was not standard issue, it is now standard issue. But everybody gets, you know, a set amount of short sleeve shirts, a long sleeve shirt, a class A shirt, which is a shirt to wear with a tie, and then the uniform that I'm wearing is soft uniform. So each officer gets one of these, and then a long sleeve, but like a detective can have up to 3 of these.
Rain gear.
So, yeah,
When they
rain
had
gear,
to, when they had to
hats.
come in during the winter when we had that bad storm, and when I-10 was shut down, and they were having, we had no jackets, we had no police jackets, we had no hats, no gloves, so we immediately went the next day and made like an order of like, granted, we don't need a ton of stuff, but when the time came, our guys didn't have it, so.
Basically, anything we don't buy for the employee are their boots, undergarments, and their weapon.
We are having to get new tasers because, our tasers are civilian tasers.
Mm.
So we're having to
They're
buy.
a close quarter, considered a civilian model, close quarter, maybe
So that is one thing, but again, it's included in
Yeah.
this.
Need to get them the tools they need to get the work done.
So really,
That
that
it?
comes to the conclusion unless somebody has some questions.
I just have one. The hotel motel,
Yes.
is that fund gonna be
It's in
the,
here, we are waiting to get some numbers back from, Stacy and I have been working on it. I wasn't here, but I'll take the blame for it. We did a terrible job on reporting and following up on hotel motel. So we're working backwards and we're going back through HDL who monitors all of that, and Stacy's working with the individual hotel contacts to get a better idea of.
I
what
mean,
we're-
moving forward.
Yes.
You gotta budget it moving forward with the same, okay.
Yeah, it's included in here, you can look over it, if you have questions, just call me,
Okay.
we're just literally keeping it the same for
Okay.
next year. And basically what that covers is expenses and things with the convention center.
So with the new system, if you make a 911 call, will it show where you're calling from?
Yes,
The
you can,
address?
and one thing I found out the other day, asking questions, is the new 911 system, I don't know if y'all knew this, but did you know that you can text 911? You can text 911 and it'll find your location, but with the new upgrade, you can text 911 and they now have the software where they can respond back and they can communicate with you through text, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That's good. That's pretty
How to do that.
Right?
That's reports and look for stuff.
You can do it now, like you can text
Oh, I didn't
911
know
and they
that.
will see your location, they just can't respond. So I told Cheyenne I was gonna
What you
check.
say? Oh, the iPhone people
I
doing?
was like, just to test it out, you
Talking
know,
to
like-
us iPhone users. The iPhone people.
No,
Yeah,
she said, make sure you
okay,
tell me
good.
when you do it.
Cause over here, Android or whatever you is disrupting our conversation over here.
Oh, we have to
Don't forget about
adjourn.
these sheets. If you think of something specifically like fireworks or I filled one out for you for Yak, we can talk about this. That's what these are for, and when you get your next budget book, all of these from all of the departments will be compiled, so if you have a question at any time, you can flip back through it and you can see the account number and what it was for.
That's the yes and
Okay.
include
All right.
HIP and public works.
Last item on the agenda is adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the yet.
Okay.